Third down and 20.
I'm sure people listening to this probably listen to other Dynasty podcasts, and they're all going to break it down the same way too. I think the main things that we got to talk about, and we could just kind of like roll through them, is one, will Cam Akers ever come back and be like a usable running back? Two, what's the price you're giving up for him? What's the price you'd sell him for? And three, is Darrell Henderson that guy, or is there someone else out there?
You're not that guy.
All right.
He's that guy.
So, one real quick. Yes or no? Yes or no? Does Cam Akers come back, and is he RB2?
No.
Yes.
He'll be an RB2. He'll never regain this top 10 dynasty back value that he was at pre-injury here. But he'll be back. Will he be back in the same sense? No. I think the best thing I've seen about it is, I don't know who said it on Twitter. I wish I could give him credit, but he will be back. The problem is that he's now missed his window of being a bell cow running back. So he's going to come back. He might be an RB2. He might be worse than that. But he missed this prime 2 seasons, let's call it, of being this bell cow back that everyone expected, and that's why he was ranked so highly.
Our RB2 is, if you're just a starting running back, I feel like you could sneak in RB2 numbers. The issue is he doesn't really catch passes, or at least he didn't last year on the Rams. Now, that could be different with Matthew Stafford and his situation next year. Who knows? But I struggle to say he is going to come back and be an RB2.
Why? I don't understand. Why is everyone so concerned about this injury compared to everyone else?
JT brought it up a little bit before we started recording. It'd be like a unicorn situation. We've never seen a running back have the injury and came back. And
but you're only looking at such a small subset. There's 9 running backs that have had.
I think there's a comparable one from a few years ago. Mikel LaShore was coming off his rookie season, 2nd round pick, had a promising rookie year. I remember people hyping up a little bit. Torn Achilles, he never came back the same. He was out of the NFL. I don't think Akers would be like that bad where he's out of the NFL, but a top 20 running back again, I don't see it.
Yeah, but we've seen wide receivers come back from it. So I don't understand the disconnect between, if we only look at running backs, then he's doomed. But if we actually expand our scope a little bit outside of that and look at more players in the NFL, yes, it's grim to a certain extent, but he's not absolutely doomed. I think that there's a wild overreaction to this injury. I think that, yes, maybe he'll lose a step. Maybe he won't ever be the same. But am I willing to sell at an over RB20 price? I saw him get traded straight up for Elijah Moore. It was a 2nd round pick. That's ridiculous. Give me Cam Akers. Dude, there are a lot of players that have recovered from Achilles injuries and been just fine. Didn't Emmanuel Sanders just recover from an Achilles injury? And he was pretty damn good last time I checked.
Different position.
Steve
different
Smith,
different
position bullshit. They're NFL
players.
Frank, you're telling me the receivers don't cut?
Pause. Now, where do you think Cam Akers would have finished had he not torn his Achilles this year? What RB overall?
Probably inside the top 15, guaranteed.
Inside top 15.
Okay, sure. Let's say he finished
I
RB12.
think probably 10 to 14
10
range,
12, right? Now you have to bet on him coming back from an Achilles injury. I don't really see any players other than potentially Derrick Henry getting phased out, maybe Zeke. There aren't many players above him that are going to be getting phased out in this next coming year. And then you also have new running backs coming in, and he's still in the same situation where he will presumably still have to split time, at least some time, with Darrell Henderson. And maybe they pick up another running back too. It's just he has a lot going against him where, as I mentioned earlier, he also doesn't catch passes. So he could be losing, to Nyheim Hines or J.D. McKissick or whoever the next, random second running back pass catcher guy is. Jake's Kareem Hunt could be on another team, passing him. There's a lot going.
Don't you dare talk bad about my man.
No, I was saying he'd be on. Yeah, I was on your side right there. So my thing is, there's a lot that would have to go in Cam Akers' favor at this point to be an RB2 again. Now, I don't think it's impossible, and I think an Elijah Moore price is a fair price.
That's not bad.
I was looking on Keep Trade Cut. I tweeted out earlier at Dynasty JT that he was valued around Michael Pittman. That is someone I'd give straight up. Yeah, Michael Pittman, someone I would totally trade 1-for-1 Cam Akers.
Listen, if y'all want to sell me your Cam Akers shares, I've been screwed by injuries before, but I don't care.
Actually, a pretty comparable one. Another Rams running back with knee issues.
I don't care. I don't believe. I think that he's going to be pretty damn fine.
All right. I mean, we kind of got into it now. What's the price, Lounis?
So I was telling you, if I owned Cam Akers, I would accept any first-round pick over the next 2 years that's offered for me. And as someone who doesn't own him, if Andrew offered me, sorry, I prefaced my first name. So someone in our league does have Cam Akers. I have my next 2 firsts over the next 2 years. If he said Cam Akers for either your 22 first or my 23 first, which will probably be towards the later end of the first round, I'm saying no. I don't want to spend a first-round pick on such a big risk and liability. If he wants to sell for an early second, that's a different story, or a mid-second, sure. And that's where the Elijah Moore comparison brings in, where I say it's not terrible. It's not a bad return. Just with the running backs, tearing Achilles, I know, Jake, Frank, you may have some faith in him. I want no parts of that, especially coming back. It's not going to be just wide open. I would be surprised if they brought someone in. It's Frank making a trade offer right now, a 23 first for Cam Akers.
There you go.
You go ahead and try. I don't know what he's going to think. I personally, if I own Akers, I'm taking any first for him. I don't want to deal with that. It's just so much stress. You have no idea how it's going to be when he comes back. Darrell Henderson's going to be there, and he's going to have a chance to prove himself this year as the undisputed starter. Their numbers from last regular season are pretty comparable. I'll say I'm Team Henderson, but Akers is obviously the way more talented back. But it's not like Henderson's like a scrub who's going to just completely shit the bed. Like, he was pretty productive when given the chance, just not as much as Akers. So it's a tough situation. If I'm trying to buy him, I'd throw maybe an early second. But if I'm selling him, I'm taking any first I can get for him.
Now, with Darrell Henderson, right? 5 days ago when Cam Akers wasn't injured, I'm not worried at all about Darrell Henderson for Cam Akers this year. I think it's Cam's job. He's not losing it to Darrell Henderson. He's probably not even giving up a whole lot of snap share to Darrell Henderson this season. But now you have to expect Cam to come back at 100% for that to be the case. And it just hasn't happened before where it's been 100% return for a running back. So if he comes back 90%, I still think that's fine for Cam Akers. But then, 80%,
I believe in their Akers talent more, but I do want to say, if you look up the regular season numbers between Henderson and Akers from last year, and again, I'm saying this, Akers was the more talented running back, they're more similar than you'd think.
Yeah, but Cam was also the rookie. He was injured.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying Akers is obviously more talented. I'm not here to say Henderson is equal to him. I'm here to say it's not just like an absolute scrub backup. Like, Henderson was probably one of the better backup running backs in football.
What's your fun fact, Frank?
Demaryius Thomas in 2011, grade 3 Achilles tear, right? That's the maximum Achilles tear you can have, the same one Akers has. Immediately following that, he put up 4 seasons of over 1,300 receiving yards. And then another 1,000 yards, and another 950 yards.
When Cam switched to a wide receiver, I'll let you have that. But Cam's not a wide receiver. We just haven't seen
that is ridiculous. That's like saying, oh, well, this linebacker can't recover from an injury, but this corner, different. Dude, no, they're all cutting. They're all NFL athletes. That's bullshit.
Here's the fact.
Completely different things than Demaryius Thomas.
Here's the fact. A fact is, if Cam Akers comes back and is successful, he will be the first running back to ever come back successfully.
Yeah. Dude, look at all the running backs that had the Achilles tears. Whether they tore their Achilles or not, they're going to be out of the league in a year anyway.
Mikel Lashore was in the same situation.
Trash. The only running back on that list
Marlon Mack is
halfway decent was Isaiah Crowell. Yeah, behind his sick offense, he was trash, dude. Look at the tape. He's trash.
He just had 2 1,000-yard seasons.
He was terrible. I could have ran for 900 yards behind that O-line. And with that scheme, get the fuck out of here. Marlon Mack, trash. He's a bait, dude. The only running back that was halfway decent was Isaiah Crowell. And I'm pretty sure even by then he was a grandpa when he tore his Achilles. Get out of here, dude. If I have Cam Akers, I'm holding. Dude, I am buying for first. I am sending this trade offer. Easy money.
Right.
Give me him for a first round pick.
If that 23 first ends up being like the likes of Bijan Robinson, Tank Bigsby, or like even a couple of other running backs there, you just lost.
I just want no part. I want no part of a player where he would be considered the first of all time in his position to come back successfully from that. If it pays out, congrats. I'm not taking that risk.
All right, and then last part of the Rams and our news and notes, like Darrell Henderson, the Rams came out and said it's probably his job. People have been flying out the name Xavier Jones. There's also Jake Funk there as the two other backups. Who was the other guy? Raymond Clay.
Go Terps.
Yeah, I can respect you showing up to your Maryland guy.
But I think whether the Rams are saying it or not, they're going to go out and get a veteran running back. But
that's the thing, though. Everyone's talking about like get a veteran running back. I understand the more concern if free agency was coming up, you can get like a Jamal Williams or something. Adrian Peterson right now isn't better than Darrell Henderson. Who are they
They
signing?
probably aren't looking for like the starter, but they're probably looking for someone else to carry
for depth. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect this guy to come in and then just take the share of take the majority of the snaps and everything. But I do expect them not to rely on the likes of Xavier Jones and Jake Funk to be behind Darrell Henderson.
I wouldn't mind the Peterson signing in LA. I think he's played with Stafford in Detroit last year. I mean, they have some familiarity. I think Peterson still's got some left in the tank. Obviously, he's not what he was, but I don't think he's a bad depth piece.
Velka, bring Frank Gore back. Frank Gore, 3 yards.
There's a lot of guys that they can
3 yards. 3 yards. No more, no less, Frank Gore.
I saw people floating out the idea of trading for. I don't really know what they have to trade anymore, the Rams. But I saw them floating out the ideas like Sony Michel, James Robinson,
Jamal
Williams.
James Robinson would be a threat to Darrell Henderson.
Yes,
that's a scenario where if you're banking on Henderson, you're in trouble because James Robinson's a talented running back. Sony Michel, I don't know how much his knee is holding up. If it's a trade, it opens up a bunch of things. But out of the veteran signings, it's more just don't put a ton of stock if you picked up, what are their names? Xavier Jones and Jake Funk. Yeah. Where do you guys see Henderson? What type of season do you guys see him having? Assume there's no major trade. He's the RB1. Maybe they pick up a veteran backup behind him, but it's mostly Henderson's backfield for the season.
I feel pretty confident.
I expect to see Stafford throw the ball 55 times a game.
I feel pretty confident that backup Kareem Hunt is finishing well ahead of Darrell Henderson.
Well ahead. Is
Henderson
getting more touches?
Yeah, Kareem Hunt does fine with less touches. Kareem Hunt's always.
I think Henderson ends up, and I do want to hear Frank's thought on it also. I think he ends up in around the mid RB2 range with how much that offense depends on running backs. Frank, is that a bad take to me or to JT?
All your guys takes this episode, man.
I think you
guys completely forget the coaching tree that Sean McVay.
I was going to say they're going to use
and
Henderson
the philosophy that they use, dude. First off, I don't even remember the last time that Sean McVay has even signed a running back in free agency, let alone any notable one. CJ Anderson. Okay, yeah, that actually kind of worked out. All right, that's a good example. But dude, this is a philosophy that goes through Shanahan, goes through LaFleur. Dude,
running backs are replaceable. So why are you saying that Cam Akers is going to come back?
Well, if you let me finish first off.
Finish the point.
It's not that running backs are replaceable. It's that running backs are a beneficiary of the scheme. What, did the Packers just go out and replace Aaron Jones? No, obviously you want a talented running back. But at the end of the day, running backs don't make the scheme. The scheme makes the running backs in these systems. And if Sean McVay is able to find any one of these dudes, it doesn't matter which one it is, if they're able to get hot, he is going to spam them. That's how they do it. If they find any sort of tactical advantage, whether it's Henderson, freaking one-legged Cam Akers, Simon Gurley, Jake Funk, doesn't matter. If they're having success, they are going to spam it, and it will change from game to game to game. So I don't really think that this is Darrell Henderson's backfield. I think it'd be foolish to think that day one that he's just going to instantly replace all of Cam Akers' workload.
from the way you're framing the argument, I thought this was going to be a pro Darrell Henderson take. I'm on your side.
It could be. It's just, dude, look at last year. Like, freaking that kid that got signed by the Dolphins. What's his name? That running back. Malcolm Brown. There were games where Malcolm Brown was getting like 18 carries. And then the next game, Darrell Henderson would get 20 carries. And then all of a sudden at the end of the season, Cam Akers is getting all the carries.
Darrell Henderson only had 15 carries 3 times last year.
So it's like, I think if you think that you're going to predict this backfield before training camp with an injured Cam Akers, I think that is foolish to do so.
I think in redraft, Darrell Henderson's a start bait.
My final prediction, if I had to make a prediction on Henderson, I think he finishes around RB 16 to 18. Hayden now come back to me at the end of this regular season. I wouldn't be surprised if it's higher. If he starts to get hot. In the games, he saw 40% snaps or more last season, which he'll probably see for most of the year this year. He averaged, I think it was 14.5 fantasy points per game. In games, he saw 40% of snaps or higher in half PPR. And last year, he had 138 carries, 624, 4.5 yards per carry, had around a little bit under 20 catches. I believe in his talent still. He was still someone they spent 2 third-round picks on. He was able to hold off Cam Akers from getting the full starting job for a bit last year. And Cam Akers is obviously the more talented back when healthy. But I think Henderson, I still like him a lot. I consider him probably, out of all the running backs, probably like a top 8 backup running back in the NFL, top 10.
Yeah, that's saying a lot.
I'm not here to be like he's the next fucking coming of, I don't know. But I think he's going to have a pretty good season. It's hard to predict stats, but I'm going to say kind of like that mid RB2 range, mid-high RB2. Like I said, 16, 18. Come back to me at the end of the year.
I'm with Frank on this one. I think it's going to be very hard to predict this backfield week to week. I think they're going to do what the old Shanahan offense does and ride the hot hand. And
that's what I'm saying.
It might be a Henderson. It might not be. This backfield is a mess. It's going to be a mess.
I agree with you, but
there's no way I would predict any of these running backs to finish top 24.
My bet is I'll make a bet on someone that Henderson finishes top 24, despite maybe like if he tears an ACL or something.
I'm not saying that Henderson won't finish top 24. I think that if you are going out there and drafting or buying Henderson at an RB18 price, I think that's a pretty stupid move.
But
I think he could easily be a Mike Davis, where he has a great season this year, goes into free agency, and a team that desperately needs a cheap running back, like the Falcons did, goes out and sign him. And then all of a sudden he's there for it looked like a 1-year thing where, a backup just rose to power. But then all of a sudden you turn that into a 3-year thing. But I'm not going to buy at that price. If I have him, sure, I'll hold him and I'll be happy about it.
Frank, if you own Darrell Henderson, what would it take for you to sell him? Let's assume you're a competitor. Probably
2 seconds.
That's where I probably lean. I don't think I'm selling for 1 second.
If everyone's thinking he's going to be RB18, isn't that? I mean, you can. That's David Montgomery right now. David Montgomery's worth more than 2 seconds, probably. So maybe that's an undersell if you're going off of rankings right now.
I'd rather go out and trade for David Montgomery at that point then.
Me too. It's just you can kind of see the flaw where it's like, why am I buying Darrell Henderson at a David Montgomery price, or even slightly below that?
I think the person you tweet out at me when I was talking about Myles Gaskin's probably the most similar. No.
Yeah.
I think Henderson's a more talented back than Gaskin.
I think I would rather have Henderson too, but it's not clear cut.
Because of the scheme and also the talent. But Jake, the last thing I'll say to you, that is true with we don't know in terms of who has the hottest. My bet is, I think, unless if a trade happens, it changes things. What I'm saying in confidence is I believe Henderson is pretty easily the most talented back on that roster right now, and more talented than any potential free agent they could bring in.
Right, but I would have said the same thing last year about Cam Akers, and yet there were weeks where Henderson went off. There were weeks where Malcolm Brown went off.
Once Akers understood the scheme, the backfield was his. I think that was just a rookie learning the scheme.
All right, look, guys, last thing, and then we can move on, right? The 2 running backs ahead of Henderson and 2 running backs below Henderson on keep trade cut. It's Josh Jacobs and Kareem Hunt above, Chris Carson and Trey Sermon below. I mean, just looking at that,
God.
I'd rather have all 4 of those guys than Darrell Henderson.
It's not even close. I would rather have all those 4 of those guys by a fair margin.
Long term, I don't know. Next season, Henderson's going to do pretty well. I'll bet. Jake, I'll make a podcast bet with you right now. Top 20 running back next season. Half PPR, Darrell Henderson. Back up your words. Make a podcast bet. I'm back.
Wow, I said top 20, outside top 24, and you're like top 20. Like it's.
You said outside. I gave you an edge.
The difference between 20 and 24 is like 5 points. It could happen. 18? Sure, he'll finish below top 18. Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
we'll think of the bet.